Well, when we get ready to travel, we've got to have the GPS, the pad, we've got to have the front forward camera, we've got to have a Wi-Fi device for entertainment. We're going to be on the road for hours. We're going to have to charge in phones. I'm running out of adapters. And then I get this octopus looking mess of stuff all over the place, and you know what? I bet there's a better way. Let's see if I can come up with a project on this. Well, hi, it's Jerry. That's a mess, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I can't stand clutter. And the smaller the confines, the more it bothers me. And what's happened in our truck is that we've added more and more things to help us and aid us in our travel and, you know, entertain us, as well as provide safety and directions and those types of things, that it's just gotten out of hand. I've got two 12-volt adapters, you know, those cigarette lighter style adapters that I can plug your 12-volt to 5-volt USB converters into. And what I've done over time is I've gone from the single converter that has two USBs, and now I've got the split Y with, you know, it just goes on and on. I've got a forward-facing, what I call my insurance camera. We've got our tablet GPS that we use. I've got a Verizon MiFi that we use for Wi-Fi as we travel. Joan likes to keep up with things, and we use it for playing music on our unlimited plan. We have to charge our phones. It just goes on and on and on, and the wires are just uncontrollable. So I found a device that I thought that I would share, and that's what this project is going to be about, and I hope it goes well. We haven't hooked these up yet, but I'm pretty excited about them. I found these online. I bought these off of Amazon, and it is a 12 to 24 volt DC to 5 volt DC converter, just, you know, what your devices will need. And they really come with a bunch of stuff, and I just want to show you this before I start the project, and then I'll share with you a couple things before I go out to the truck. But the nice thing about this is, here's your converter. It's pretty small. It's not a whole lot to it. You can see there's my index finger. It's less than, you know, front knuckle to the tip of the finger. I've noticed that there's several people selling these things, and the names of the companies are a little bit different, so I'm sure these are Amazon sellers. These are called Carpuride, C-A-R-P-U-R-I-D-E, but it is your, again, I was looking for something in the 12 to 24 volt range, and you can get them with both micro, that is the thin end, or you can get them with the mini, which is still the small but a little bit larger. And I need two micros, one for the traffic cam up front, and one for the Samsung 8-inch tablet that I have. And they're pretty simple. They've got a power cord and a ground cord, and then just tons and tons of wire here that you can kind of fish it around, and that's what I'm going to try to show. But the other thing that I liked about this is I call these cheater plugs, if you can see that. Hopefully that'll focus in on it. Cheater plug. Here, I'll step aside so it'll focus on it. These cheater plugs, they provide three different fuse types. And for my F350, the fuse panel that I'm going to be using, I'm going to use one of these smaller units right here. And you just pop your fuse out, stick this in, tie your hot wire together, and I'll show you this in a little bit more detail as we continue with the project. And then you put your old fuse back in, new fuse, and you got a fuse product. So when you're starting to look at this is the challenge. This is a challenge. I know this project isn't going to be for everyone, but somebody who's a little handy and not afraid of dealing with 12 volts of your vehicle. I am going to go to the fuse panel and find a fuse that either is not being used, hopefully is not being used, but works off the accessory switch. What I don't want to have happen is find a fuse that is on all the time, like for you know, sometimes your power windows and those types of things. I don't want to use power windows. I don't want to use headlights. I don't want to use parking lights. I don't want to use anything that already has a good bit of current draw. So I took out my Ford F350 manual, looked to see what was being used and what's not used, And because I don't have all the bells and whistles on my Ford F-350, I found several fuses that were not being used that are for, you know, optional accessories that work off the ignition switch. The reason being, I want to be able to turn that ignition switch off, not power this unit, and, you know, over time, you know, if the truck is parked for 3 or 4 or 5 days, potentially kill the battery, because I'm going to be putting 2 of these online. Current draw is not much on them, so I don't think, I call it vampire draws. I don't think there's going to be much on that. The toughest thing that I think is going to be with this project is just the close confines of being able to work in and around the truck. And then I think simply I can fish this wire around, and that's not going to be a big deal whatsoever. But I think it's going to be a fun project. It's going to free up a lot of space. It's going to allow me to turn off and on my overhead camera, my forward camera, and my GPS pad tablet that I'm using, and just turn that off and on and just kind of hide all those wires. That's what's kind of drooping down from the top and hanging off to the side. And then I can use my cigarette lighter adapters for things like the occasional phone or the occasional hotspot or those types of things that are just temporary, and I don't need those all the time. Since you want these hooked up all the time, then this will be a good thing to be able to use. So let's see how this project's going to go. I'm going to go down here and put you on a smaller camera, and we're going to see if we can fish this thing around and get in some tight confines and hook these bad boys up. 2 of them. First thing that I'm going to do is pull out my owner's manual, and here you can see my fuse box, and they're all numbered here. And then I have listings of what each one does on each page. And I can go through each one of these pages. Some are not used, some are used. Again, I don't want to use turn signals, I don't want to use tow lights, you know, I don't want to use heater, I don't want anything that's pulling a lot of current. So I found one here called AM/FM radio panel faceplate. And since I've got a higher end radio here, this one's not being used, and this is ideal. And I tested it to make sure that no current was on, no power was on when the truck was turned off, and this one absolutely works perfect. So again, what I've done is I've removed all this, all these panels here, and they're real easy. They just snap and, you know, pop loose, and it's real simple for these things to come off. And I've also taken the cover off of my fuse panel just to go ahead and make it easier. And then if you haven't seen how to use a volt-ohm meter, I've actually got this video. I'll put it up in the top link here so you can see how to use a volt-ohm meter. But you'll see right here is where I removed that fuse that was located in here. And what I did was test taking my probe of my meter and sticking it here and then putting it on ground, and I saw that there was no power on. I turned my keys on and I had power. So that meant that this was a good spot. So now what I want to use is one of my adapters. Now, since I am going to be putting 2 of these on the same connector, I am going to take these ends off that were supplied. Real simple thing to do. And then I'm going to do the same thing with these ends here. And I'm just going to twist my ends together. And I'm just going to use one of these little simple clamp connectors here. And boom, there you have it. That's not needed, but I'll just go ahead and slip that on. So now I've got a nice, very tight connection. Next is to run the wiring. Getting this camera done first. I'm going to put it in place where I like to keep it, which is right there. Tighten that up. And now start fishing this wire in here. Nice thing about it is these headliners have a lot of play in them. A lot of people are scared to stick their fingers up here and do this. It's really no big deal. And just start stuffing this wire in here. Plenty of slack. I like starting from the device here and then working my way back. That way I can hide the slack in the behind the glove compartment or up where this fuse panel's at. And these are handy little tools to have if you have something like this. It's called a dental tool. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight. They're like $1 a piece. And just to be able to kind of pull this back and fish your wire in there, it makes it a little easier. Like I said, you want to be very, very careful here and not break this plastic. There we go. All right, there's the first one. So for this next one, I could not, this takes what they call a USB-C, and I bought one of these little adapters to go on it. And I'll share this with you. Patience is a virtue, something I have very little of. That's not my gift. But just take your time and don't be in a hurry. It's not going anywhere. And you can see here what I'm doing. You see how that just stuffs right in that little, it's like a foam. And it's just going to hide that wire so nice. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. I'm going to take 2 hands. That is perfect. So simple. Just taking the back side of this, and you could use one of those throwaway chopsticks that you get at the grocery store sushi. That would work great. I just happen to have this in my toolbox. Look at that. Perfect. Now I'm using the one, for this fuse panel here, I'm using the one with the long probes for this cheater, just because the fuse panel is so tight in here. It's going to take this to fit where the old fuse went. And it should fit right like so, with much ease. There we go. There you have it. See if we can get the fuse panel back on. And now I have all these extra wires. I'm just going to coil them up and find me a place up under here to tie them out of the way. So as you look at the finished project here, it's really not bad at all. So that's where the fuse panel was at. I know it's a little dark now, but just popping all the wires back in, and you can see all the wires as you look here along the side or side of the window and all is nice and clean and out of the way, and makes it so much nicer. So here's the added benefit. I'll turn the key on, and you see the camera turns on by itself now, off and on. I don't have to fool with that. And then I don't know if I can get close enough here, but I see the pad is charging on battery, so that makes it really nice. And then we can just go down the road and enjoy our trip. So we're getting ready to pack it up and head out. I'm looking forward to that. Well, this was a great little project for under $30 and an hour's time max. And I'll put in my show notes at ilovervlife.com where you can find this unit. I think they're $12, $13 a piece, something like that. They're not very expensive. These work fantastic. I'm very pleased with them. And you get the full kit with the fuse holders and the cheaters and all those types of things. That really, really makes the big difference of being able to do this thing completely from end to end. So I'm pretty happy with it. And if you got an hour's worth of time, give it a shot. Cleans up that dash. I have a port now just for the phone whenever I need to charge it, and Joan's got one whenever she wants to charge hers, and everything is nice and clean up front now, so it really makes it pretty nice. Just another reason I love RV life.